Hey everybody, this is Jay with another episode of Bonsais Forever. Welcome to my channel if you haven't seen it before. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be working on a maple. This is a bloodgood maple, I think is what they call it. It is grafted onto another type of maple. And it's raining outside, so my hair's all wet. Anyway, so it is grafted right here. It is grafted onto this branch of another species of maple. I'm not 100% sure what species it is. So this tree I picked particularly because I wanted a small maple tree, and if you see this is my hands. It's not even 2 hands tall from here. So this is going to be its own tree eventually. And I picked it also because it's got some decent movement. It's got some relatively decent branching. This is obviously a very young tree, but it does look like it's a few years old, I would say. I'm not an expert on maples, but it does have quite a few branches on it. Quite a few little twigs on it, and it looked relatively healthy when I got it also, so that's why I got it. And why I waited until now to do this. This is early spring, very early spring. It's probably going to get cold again. I hope it doesn't get too cold, but it'll probably get a little cold again. And anyway, so back to why it's early spring. And there's a bud right here that's starting to pop out. That's really what I was waiting on. Just see if this would back bud at all. Let's get to it. I'm going to air layer this part of the tree off of this part of the tree. I'm going to show you how I air layer. I hope I do it. Right. I'm pretty sure I do. I've done a couple air layers before. I showed you the crepe myrtle, but those are super easy to propagate and air layer, and I mean you could chop them to the ground and they'll grow back. So good practice, but it's not a maple tree. If from what I understand, maple trees are a little bit harder to take care of and maintain. So we'll see if this works. I'm hoping it does. So I got this little contraption here. I don't remember where I got it from. Oh, that's awesome. It's completely full of ants. That'll be fun. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and I'll get back to you. Alright, so I got some water from my pond that's outside my greenhouse here. I'm going to put some of this sphagnum moss in here. I don't know if you can see me right now, but I'll just explain that I'm breaking up the sphagnum moss into the water to get it rehydrated. Alright, so we'll let that rehydrate, and then we'll put it in here. We'll jam it in there, and I'll use some rooting hormone in there. So we'll get back to the tree here, and what we're going to do with the tree, I'm kind of looking at it to see where I want to do this, because basically you remove about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of bark, depending really on the width or the circumference of the trunk. This is a relatively small trunk, so I think I can do about 1 inch of bark, and I think I'm going to go into here, this section here, from this line up to here. And obviously you don't want to do it bigger than the piece here, so if I do it from the line, so I'll go up to about halfway in here is what I'm going to do. That's where I'm going to remove the bark. So basically you're going to run your knife around the trunk of the tree. I'm going to mark it here with this so that I cut it in the right area. Alright, so you're going to run your knife around the bark of the tree. You want to do it deep enough to get through the cambium and the xylem layer of bark, but you don't want to get to the woody part of the bark, and I don't remember what that's called. So if you know, you can leave me a comment. Awesome. So I'm going to go into here, and this is going to be a little bit more difficult right here because I'm going into both parts of the tree. And I kind of want to get through it all the way in the first cut so that it's a nice clean cut. Because you want it to be a clean straight cut when you remove the bark of the tree. Because not getting a clean cut, it doesn't seem to work as well. I've had some of these I've had very successful, super easy, a couple of weeks I've got new roots, and some of them I've had the tree above die, and obviously the bottom part of the tree doesn't die, but I've had the top part of the tree die before. So you want to be careful to get it nice and clean. And I've seen it to where they cut it and like on videos and stuff, and they just peel it off and it just, the whole thing comes off. And a lot of times those are larger trees and different kinds of trees, so I don't know how this bark should react if I did it right, but it does appear that I got completely through it. No, maybe not. Yeah, I did. So basically I'm just going to work this bark off, and the reason why you remove the bark is because the roots come out of the cambium layer of bark. So if you remove it, this part of the tree wants to put nutrients from the leaves and such into the roots of the tree, but if there's no roots, it needs to make roots so that it can get to the roots, right? So we're removing the part that it's trying to put nutrients into so that it creates it. Now the nutrients from the roots, it goes up the center of the tree, or not the very center, because the very center is dead, but the next layer out. I should probably look up all the different layers of the inside of a tree so that I know all this stuff, but the very inside of the tree is dead. But the next layer is what puts nutrients up to the tree, or to the leaves and stuff like that, so from the roots. So that's why you can do this process, because the center of the tree feeds this, and this creates roots. And right here, you can actually tell the difference in the two trees right here. Like this part of the tree is white, and this part of the tree is like a darker color, like a cream color. And I'm being really careful not to damage either end of it. I want it to be a straight cut and clean and all that, like I said before. Sometimes I ramble in my videos because I think I should be saying something and probably don't really need to be saying anything. I don't think that the bottom part is as important to be as clean of a cut as the top is, but I just like everything to look nice. You definitely want to scrape through any of the cambium layer and get down to where you're starting to carve the wood. You don't want to carve too far into it, but you just want to start carving into it so that you can make sure that you've removed every bit of the cambium layer so that it will actually produce roots, because otherwise it'll just heal. This is a process that typically you would do on a tree that is much more difficult to propagate by a cutting. So you would do this instead of doing a cutting, because this will work better. Like something that comes to mind is the rain trees, Brazilian rain trees. A lot of people do large trunk chops on their Brazilian rain tree, but they're such an awesome tree. You don't want to get rid of the top part of the tree or the part that you're cutting off, so you want to keep that, because also they're relatively expensive trees, so they'll air layer it and be able to trunk chop the lower part of the tree and keep the upper part of the tree also. I've also seen it to where the lower part of the tree doesn't have much interest and the upper part of the tree does, so they'll air layer the top off to get the more interesting tree with more movement in it. Okay, so there's that. That looks, I think that looks good enough. I'll make sure it's not going to have anything in here that's potentially going to rot, because that would cause some issues. So any like flaky wood in here, I'm going to trim that and make sure that it's nice and smooth. There we go. I don't want to leave this open too long, so we're going to go ahead and load up our air wiring ball, if you want to call it that. I don't know what the name of it is. I'm sure it does have a commercial name on it, but you can find these on Amazon in different sizes. Pretty sure you can just look them up online also. So I'm going to squish it in there. I'm going to have some sticking out so it compresses against the tree. And then on a situation like this, I was looking for my little scoop that I had a tiny little spoon-like scoop over here. I don't know what I did with it. I'm losing things. Anyway. It's in here. It is not. I'll just use this. So I'm going to use this scoop. Get a small amount. You don't need a lot. You just kind of sprinkle it in here. Sprinkle it all over it. I have seen where they use a liquid or a paste type rooting hormones also. Still. So I'm going to put it on here nice and snug. Make sure that it's all inside there, and I can clip this thing over it just like that. So there you go. Basically that's all there is to that. It's a lot less complicated than I thought it was when I first heard of the process. And doing it with this is, I mean, that is a pretty amazing invention, and I put it on upside down. I don't think that, yeah, I might flip it over. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. Basically, this side has got more of a funnel than this side, but I can still water it from here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this like I'm watering the tree, so that it stays moist. I don't want it like sopping wet. Currently it's sopping wet, but that's okay for now. It'll get it started. So next thing I want to do, I've been like studying the branches on this while I've been talking to you guys. There's a couple of branches that I want to take off of here. Not a huge big deal. There's a couple of pieces, like this one right here. It's like right in the middle here and it's going straight up. That's not helping anything out. There's a couple of pieces that I think were leaves or dead branches. Take all that off. Like that. Some leaf that was right here that didn't completely come off. And this looks good at 1 to 2. Right here there's a big whirl branches. I'm going to cut this whole piece off. I'm going to leave, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to cut this piece off here because I've got 2 branches. So I got these 2 branches now. I took this off. It was a whole bunch of nonsense right there. And I don't know if I could propagate this. Might be worth it. I'm not sure. I'm going to cut this back to here. I want to get rid of all of the old leaf stems because this didn't quite shed its leaves very well. I think this is dead, so I'm going to take this all the way off. Actually, I'm going to take it off here because it looks like it might have a couple of buds there. I'm going to take this off because it's going downwards after that part. And I think I'm going to leave the rest of this. This branch here is really just a super straight branch all the way out to here. I don't really know how this tree is going to grow. I don't know how much I want to take off of it. I'm looking at that and that's just like all up in the way. Every direction I look at it, it just looks terrible. So I'm gonna cut this off altogether to get rid of it because it's not gonna be good for the tree later at all. I am gonna put this in sand though. See if I can propagate that piece. I'm going to just put it in the sand for now and then I'll put some rooting hormone on it in a minute when I'm done with the video here. I'm going to clean this up. There we go. There we go, there we go. I think that's going to be it for this. Looks good. I'm really excited about this. How it's backbudding. There's a couple more spots on here. Here, down here, that it could potentially, a couple of spots down here that it could potentially backbud from. So I'm actually kind of hoping that doing this process will stress this part of the tree enough that this part of the tree thinks that it needs to save itself and pop out some growth. And then this tree, I'm hoping that it pops its buds out here relatively soon. I've got a couple of them that are really swollen up and looking like they're going to start popping, and I've got other trees that their buds are starting to pop out, so I'll need to be doing some work on those here in the near future also. So that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you on the next one.